Hey there, here's a question for you. Are you working towards the goals for your company or are you working towards goals for yourself? And think about that for a second. Let that question really sink in. Are you working towards goals for the company that you work for, the organization, your manager, your boss, or are you working towards goals for yourself? Are you looking to build a life for yourself, design a lifestyle, build the fortune that you want, the career that you want, and everything else that you desire? Which of those goals are you working towards? Because how you answer that question can ultimately decide how you effectively you move towards your goals. And here's the thing, it took me a while to understand this about goal setting. And this is going to sound very, very unusual and silly. But when I first heard of goal setting, I never really thought that there was different ways or methods or forms of goal setting. I always thought that goal setting was just goal setting. You simply set a target and you go after it. That's basically how most of us sort of live in our lives. That's how people play video games. A lot of people play video games. You have a task, a mission in the video game. That's your goal is set for you and you move towards that goal. And that's it, right? And with that said, a lot of us can get stuck in this game of life, in this corporate game, in the game that we learn at school, where there are other goals that have already been set for us that we can start to lose sight of our own personal goals. And in that momentum where we're moving towards a destination that's somewhat set for us, that someone else is setting, that they expect us to perform in that movement, we tend to lose sight of our own and we start to lose a bit of our individual and individual selves and independence, and ultimately potentially the motivation and the inspiration to achieve those things that we truly desire. Now, with that said, we've got these goals that we learn about in school. We learn about goal setting in the corporate world. We learn about goal setting in video games. And when we see the experience of, or when we witness and experience goal setting, we think, okay, there's an objective and let me move towards that objective. I got to collect 500 plants and return it to the village spokesperson in the center of town, right? So this is just an example using a game. But at the end of the day, we get so caught up in others' goals that we can start to lose sight of our own. And what I'm here to do with this video is to help you awaken the goals, as a new goal setting method that can help you become more motivated and inspired toward achieving things for yourself. And with that said, back to this topic. When I first was setting goals in my life, I mean, we all set goals from childhood and beyond, every goal that we want to achieve. We typically think, where most of us are taught, hey, well, let me set this goal. I set a timeline. I set a specific, like, measurable element of it, like SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and there's a timeline to it. That's the way we're taught to set goals. And then we're just expected to go ahead and do it. Now, I think that is almost as ridiculous as me not realizing that there's multiple ways to set goals. Because when you set a SMART goal, yes, okay, so if you're in a company, if you're at school, if you are like an athlete or something, one way to set goals is you turn yourself basically into a machine that churns out activity. You set a goal and say, well, in order for me to reach this promotion, I've got to, reach my targets of speaking with 20 people a day and making 600 widgets each day, and I have to figure out how to improve that. And that is a typical company goal. You have to create 600 widgets, and then next year is you got to create 10% more widgets this year than last year. Then the year after that. So that's great if you're building a business, building a company, and you have great loyal employees who want to work for you and people that can set these goals for others. And there are people that love that. There are people, and I'm myself included, I love it when other people help me find paths, like mentors help you define ways to achieve what you want. So in a typical company or a job or whatever, you have these goals already set for you. But the big question is, are these goals you truly are motivated and inspired to go do, or do you do it just to get the paycheck, just so you can potentially get promoted? Or maybe you don't even have the desire to move all the way up in the company and you just want to maintain a certain level of performance so you don't get fired. Whatever that is, consider this next question, because at the core of it, most of us tend to know of this style of goal setting that we learn in the business world, in school, that we're taught at home to like set a goal. If you're in sports, say you're gonna practice for 2 hours just dribbling a ball for 2 hours a day, dribbling a ball a certain way. Or you're gonna go to the gym for an hour each day for 5 days every week, and that's the goal. And those are those are actual activities and the tactics and the things that you're going to do to reach a specific goal, such as, hitting 10% extra this year so that you can go above the quota, so that you can reach the president's club, or so that you can get your name on the wall or a little trophy or whatever that is. But those are not always the goals that truly inspire us, that get us to where we want, especially if we feel stuck, especially if we're not doing the things we truly enjoy or love or passionate about or have a desire or daydream to go do. We have athletes. Athletes can set goals like these because they probably absolutely love the sport. They love to win. They're highly competitive, and that's the route they go. They know what they're doing, and they move towards it. But for everybody else, for the rest of us, yes, we may have a desire to win, but where the path is less clear, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're building a brand, you have certain financial goals, you have certain travel goals, you have a lifestyle goal, you want to experience certain things in your life, then when we start to think about those goals, when we start to bring these two ideas together of the society's goals and our personal goals, we start to realize that there can be a gap there, that there's a gap between what we're constantly working towards and what we would like to work towards. And this is said with the caveat that there are companies out there that provide great pay and great leadership. They provide a lot of paid time off, rest. They care a lot about the employees, and the employees have amazing opportunities to have amazing experiences that can boost and grow their career, and whatever they want to achieve, they can achieve through that job. And that is absolutely wonderful. But the reality of the situation, that most of us are in is we're not constantly working towards our goals. We're not always, working on what we truly desire to do. A lot of us might wait till 40, 50, 60 years until we're ready to retire, and then we pursue those goals. So with that said, I'm going to help you find a new way of setting goals that's going to excite you, that's going to ignite your passion for things, and that's going to give you a little bit of spark towards moving towards a certain destination. Whatever that destination is, your own personal destination, not one that I'm sharing with you, but your personal destination. And as I mentioned, I spent so many years just setting arbitrary goals, right? So thinking that, just setting the goal and setting activities and going towards that goal is going to help. But the reality is it works in video games. It works for certain, like when you're a cog, when you're a cog in a system. And I'm not saying all employees are cogs in a system, just a lot of people can be. A lot of people can get stuck in that rut and they get lost, and they lose the piece of themselves. And gaining that back, and inspiring yourself and getting yourself motivated, this goal setting method that I learned about was absolutely amazing. It really changed me because I truly got an understanding of what goals are meant to do. Yes, we know that goals are meant to help guide us and focus our attention toward a specific destination. So we set these ambitious goals, we move towards them, we start developing the plans, the visualizations, and all that. And if you're like an entrepreneur, you need to know how to do that. You need to know how to set goals, not just for yourself, but for the organization you might eventually build, for the people that are looking to you for guidance as a leader. But if we think about the goals that we want in life, most of us are not spending enough time thinking about that or even focusing on that. And because we don't, we can start to lose motivation for the things that we're doing at work. So if you want to even perform better at work, this exercise is going to help you because you're going to not just get more excited for your life, but as you start to move towards those things that you want and you desire, those goals that you set for yourself, you're ultimately going to either perform better work or you're going to completely leave the job because you want to go find another one. Now, I'm not saying to leave your job just because you heard this video or learned this exercise, but there's going to be some ideas brewing within you that helps get you excited for what's ahead for yourself. And what's ahead for yourself is going to be the goals that you set in this exercise. So looking at this next exercise, when we think about motivation, there's two basic types of motivation. People, and this is for everybody, we either want to move towards something or we want to escape something. We want to avoid pain and failure and embarrassment and shame and failure and all those things, or we want to move towards something. We want to find success. We want to move towards our goals. We want to have that jet, that yacht. We want to have the fame and the success and this excitement and this happiness and joy. So with that said, there are these two types of motivations. And when we go towards these motivations, the fear can stop us, and drive and motivation towards something can move us. But fear can also move us away from that thing and move us towards success. If we fear failure, or if we can be afraid of being a failure so much that we move towards success. Or you can even be so afraid of success that you purposely move toward failure. And that sounds ridiculous because, why would anyone move toward failure? But this isn't so much like a conscious thing where we're saying, oh, well, like I don't want to be successful, so I'm just gonna, fail. It's more of a, unconscious, and then you start to justify like, well, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that because rich people are stupid or something like that, right? So I'm just making something up. So you don't want to become wealthy. You don't want to have financial success because you think that everybody who's financially successful is like stupid or an idiot or like rude or something, a bad person, right? So that type of unconscious thing that we just have these beliefs about certain things, and when we start to realize them, it has a huge effect on each and every one of us. So what is the exercise? The exercise isn't just a goal setting. It is like just blasting your goals, because with every goal that you start to realize, with every goal that you set that you want to achieve, you start to build a tremendous amount of energy. You start to build a tremendous amount of motivation from those goals. You start to see what's possible, and your mind starts to put the pieces together, and it starts to put these all into action. Because when you're goal setting at work, or if you're playing a video game as an example, you get a simple goal and you just go ahead and do it because it's available, it's easy, it's simple. You go slaughter a couple of rats in a video game, and you collect their skins. This is just an example, right? So you slaughter rats, you know what to do, it's simple, it's explained, it's defined, and then there's really no purpose besides that except to progress in the game. But in the game of life, how do you really set these goals that you truly want? You don't say, well, I'm just going to go buy 10 cats, or I'm going to go chop down 20 trees, or I'm going to go buy 20 dozen roses or whatever. I mean, you could say that, right? But those aren't like goals that excite you, that motivate you. When you're in a game, when you're playing a video game, you're excited to go do that random exercise. So how do you build that type of excitement in real life? Because most of us, if we were to be as excited as we were to do activities in a game, those achievements, as we are in real life, our lives would be completely different. So here's the exercise. Instead of just setting one regular goal in the SMART way, SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely, instead of setting that type of corporate goal that we've all learned about, try just blasting all of the things that you want and desire. Consider each of those things that you want and desire a goal. And just try that. Now, there are different levels of this exercise. We're going to talk about the three levels of this exercise, but at the foundation, getting yourself excited for your goals. So whether you want travel goals, like and you could do this exercise after you watch this video, listen to it, and then if you need to rewatch it, and then do this exercise on paper. So I'm going to explain in detail right now. So basically, the first step is to simply just take a piece of paper, set a timeline, time limit, 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it takes, and just jot down every single thing you want to achieve in life, everything you want to have, be, or do. Just write that down. Set within a time limit. Don't stop. Don't limit yourself. Just everything you want to do, as ridiculous or as unreal as like you feel maybe it's unachievable, whatever it is, just write those down. Write down the ones that you feel like you can achieve, that definitely achieve, and write things down that you want to do in the next year, the next 5 years, the next 10 years. Just jot all of those down. Set all of those goals, because as you start to write those down, you start to envision your life with those things and how to do it. Your mind automatically, with every single thing you write down, starts to think about how you can potentially achieve it. But the thing is most of us think about how we can't achieve it, but as soon as you write it down, your mind starts to think, oh, well, like this is how I would achieve this. Even though it seems out of reach, you might say, oh, well, I want to take this vacation, but it's going to cost me $20,000. Well, if you write it down as a goal, as a desire, as a want, you start to eliminate that, well, I'm not going to be able to do this. You start to think of how you're going to do this, no matter how difficult it might be. So that's the first step. Just write down all of your goals. I want to go to school. I want to go back to school. I want to go to college. I want to get a promotion. I want to go be an astronaut. I want to play basketball on a team. I want to go play tennis at Wimbledon. You want to swim across an ocean. You want to break a world record. You want to get into the best shape of your life. Whatever those things are. Maybe you want to go ride a tortoise or something. Just write everything you can possibly think of in the time limit down. And then here's the next step. Next step is simply to go through each one of those things. Each one of your goals, your wants, desires, things you want to be, do, and have. Go through each one of those. And next to it, write down a number. It can be 6 months, 1 year, 5 years. Put down a number that relates to time and write down specifically how much time you think it would take you to accomplish it. Do it for every single one. If you set a goal and you don't think you could accomplish it like right now, then put 50 years. If you don't have 50 years, put 30 years. If you don't have 30 years, put as many years as you think it'll possibly take, and don't worry about whether or not it will happen, because that's what happens. That's traditional goal setting. That is the type of goal setting that we learn in the office to be a cog, to be a specific piece of a big organizational puzzle, and that helps us become successful at that job, at that company, and it helps us grow in that company. But it's not really going to sustain us and motivate us, because what are we setting those goals that excite us? And right now you are setting those goals that are going to excite you, because if they weren't exciting to you, you wouldn't be writing them down. So don't limit yourself on this exercise. Most of us limit ourselves because we think, oh, well, I might not be able to achieve this, so I'm not going to put it down, or this sounds too ambitious, or if someone hears that I have this goal, they're going to think I'm crazy, right? So don't let that limit you. Don't let what others think or what others feel you should set your goals at limit you for this exercise. Of course, if you're moving towards a goal and you're setting a goal at work, then you need to set something realistic and attainable. Otherwise, you could face whatever consequences. I don't know what the boss is going to say. But with that said, So now we've got a list of goals. You've got a number, like say 1 month, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. You've got those numbers set for amount of time you think you could take to achieve them for each and every individual one. Now for step number 3, all you're going to do is just go through that list and find the ones that you can achieve within 1 year. That is what's called a sweet spot. That is what's called the spot for these amazing, incredible goals that you can achieve within 1 year. And as you circle those goals, you'll start to realize that a lot of things that you thought were way beyond reach are really within reach. Because you're going to start thinking, okay, well, I can earn this amount of money, and if I put that money towards my goal, then I can achieve this. And again, this doesn't necessarily have to be this could be for anything, for you specifically. There's no limitations on you. If you want to focus all of these goals towards building your business because you're an entrepreneur, you're a business person, and that's what you want to focus on for the next 5-10 years to grow it until you could sell it, then maybe your goals are specifically arranged around that. Maybe you already did an exercise like these and you've already visualized it, but this could still be helpful in helping you cement these goals, establishing a timeline, and imagining more of what is possible, because a lot is possible for each and every single one of us. And once we start to set goals like this, our ball of excitement, our ball of motivation, our ball of energy, our desire and interest and motivation and all of that moving towards our intention, moving towards these goals gets ignited. We start to get super excited. You start to build energy. You start to realize what's possible. You start to not limit yourself. And it has so many just compounding benefits when you start to do this type of goal setting, as opposed to just the traditional goal setting methods that we know that you probably familiar with. And there's nothing wrong with those. But again, we can lose sight of our own goals and start to lose motivation for those goals that are already set for us. Whereas right now, you're starting to learn the tools to get yourself excited, to get yourself moving, to get yourself into movement, to get yourself working towards the goals that you truly desire. And maybe, you do put a lot of things off, or maybe, things don't quite work out at the end of the year, but that's okay, because you're not setting your timeline, you're not setting your deadline. Again, if you are an entrepreneur or business person and you have employees that need guidance and you're a manager or whatever, then yes, those are important ways to set a deadline. But alternatively, there's other ways to do it, and this is the way. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope I hope I shared a wealth of information for you that can help you set goals and move towards them and get excited towards not just the goals, but everything that the goals bring in your life, in your wealth, in your health, your relationships, and all of that, and bringing that all together so you get excited to move towards all of it and ultimately create that life that you desire. So with that, thank you for watching this video and have a wonderful day.